I guess we can start. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, welcome to the Depths of Paragraphs presentation, where I will try to show you why should you use paragraphs not just for field composition, which I think most of the people are using paragraphs, but actually the paragraphs can do a lot more than just field composition. So, quick overview about the presentation. Quickly about me and the company I work and the systems. Then we will try to address all the client and developers' needs that are needed while you're building the websites. We'll discuss the latest, or not that latest, paragraphs improvements. There are many of them, like admin improvements, editor UI improvements, the paragraphs library submodule, the plugin system, API, and everything you can do with it, and how the paragraphs works with multilingual sites and content moderation. After that, I'll quickly show you how you can easily create a custom layout, style, and even a custom plugin implementation in paragraphs. We'll check the other options that currently exist in Drupal. What can we improve in paragraphs? And yeah, after that, if you have some questions. So about me, my name is Ivica. I'm senior front-end developer working in the company called Embed Systems, based in Zurich, Switzerland. We are quite small team, but we are actually the most active contributor in the Switzerland. We maintain over the 100 Drupal modules on Drupal.org, 23 software as a service integrations, and some models are used really by a lot of websites in the public. And also from time to time we are consulting other agencies. Okay, so in this first part we will try to address most of the stuff that your clients problems and needs, and also how you as a developer can solve these problems. So we will check how the modern content creation works in the websites and what's all the challenges and problems it brings. So what do the client needs? Sure, bigger sites usually they want rich, complex content, media heavy, like images, video embed, Twitter embed, other stuff. So they want custom responsive layout strategies on that pages they're building, of course, with a custom look, with the design they have. Also, they probably want advanced behaviors on these pages, so like parallax, sliders, animations, table of content, and other stuff. And depending on the country you live, like in Switzerland, they have a lot of official languages there. So all the sites need at least to have 2 and more like 3 or 4 languages. Now, that was the client. And you as a developer, what do you need? So you need a solution to achieve all this that we discussed with minimal amount of work, preferably. This solution needs to be reusable, meaning that you don't want to, for each new client and project, to do everything again. So you need something that you can reuse across all the projects. And also, you want that that solution you have that actually can't use that. So they should build these complex web pages. And in that process, they should not hate that. They should at least like or love the tools you are giving to them. So how was this done before, or maybe even now? So in Drupal and Paragraphs old approach. So in Drupal before, you can easily create multiple content types with custom fields. So that's great, but that will only solve the storage problem of your complex pages. It will not solve all other stuff like layouting, applying styles to different stuff, and many other things. So then again, paragraphs make all that a bit more easier, because now you actually, with paragraphs, you're building the actual single most simple content units that you're using on your pages. Like it can be title, but it can be card, or it can be container that is holding other stuff. But again, that will just give you the field composition, and it will solve your storage problem more easily. But again, what about all other stuff we discussed? So for all that other stuffs, paragraphs from version for the Drupal version 8 and after, paragraphs are bringing you a lot of additional features, not just the field compositions. Work is still in progress, but really a lot of stuff already exists and a lot of stuff that you can use. I will show you now some examples of actual real projects that we built for our clients. And all these projects are using actually paragraphs and all this new nice stuff that we will discuss later. So first project, unicef.ch, quite a big site. So all these examples, all you see except header and footer, everything in between is built in paragraphs. Even on some places in footer, because you're adding blocks to footer, and you can easily add a paragraph field for that block, so you can have all this system inside of the footer also if you want. So we are doing that also for some complex cases. Next example, simpla.ch, also quite a big site with also commerce integration. Bao Arena. This is like a huge scientific portal. The PCI is something like CERN, but a bit smaller. But again, the huge portal built completely from paragraphs. Mercanto. And some a bit smaller but nice looking website. I decided to put it here. So as you see, all the projects were quite different in design, look, content structure, but they are all built with the same approach. So while working with the paragraphs and all this new feature they're bringing, and in all the projects we are doing, we managed to do next stuff. So we really standardized the full content building process for all our clients and projects. It doesn't matter if the project is small or big. It doesn't matter what are their demands. We really can do everything with just one tool set. Second thing is rapid prototyping. What does it mean? That means that we can really very easily, in like 1 hour, install and the new instance for the client with some demo content. And then based on their input, we can, like in a couple of hours or a day or two, build a test instance for them. So they can then easily check how the system works, how it will look, because it will not look like their custom design, but we can easily achieve the structure, the layout, what they want. So that's really great for when you want to onboard the client or you need some additional push to sell it for client. So ability to really, like in 1 day or a day or two, give the client a test instance with actual data. It's really great. It's helping us a lot. Then because this solution is very client friendly, meaning that they can easily edit these pages and do the stuff by themselves. It also means that they're not bound by initial design they had. So they can easily add different layouts or different stuff, combine stuff differently, and achieve new stuff without us need to like develop more stuff or say to them, oh, you cannot do it, sorry, we need to do this and that. So that's also very nice. And adding a new feature, because everything is standardized, you can really very easily add a new feature. So a new content component, a new layout, which we don't have in our custom set, and so on. So now let's actually see what are all these new paragraphs improvements that we are using and that paragraphs actually offers you from the version 8.x. So there are a couple of main parts. So we'll check admin improvements for paragraph types, then editor user interface improvements. We will check the submodule paragraphs library and why can or should you use it depending on the use case. We will check the plugin system for attaching behaviors to paragraph types. These are actually layouts, styles, and anything else you will see. Also, the paragraphs fully support multilingual sites with the symmetric translation approach. There is really nothing to do. There is any problem, you just configure a couple of stuff and that's it. And also the content moderation is fully supported. So now I will show you. So when you install paragraphs and paragraphs collection contrib module, you get some stuff like some basic paragraph types and some layouts, some styles. But that's only a quick demonstration, so you can see how the basic stuff works. But I wanted really to show you how the actual production system works for us and our clients, and how something that if you decided to build it based on paragraphs can look for you and your clients. So admin improvements for paragraphs types. So this is like kind of improved paragraph types management page. You see there is an icon, the label, machine card, and description that's before, but we now have icon support. When you edit some paragraph type, for example, the card here, you see, so we have an icon. This description is from before. Behaviors, that's a huge section. I hide it from now. We will check it later. There is allow adding to library. That's the paragraph library thing I mentioned, and groups. This is actually our custom feature, additional feature, which allows us some optimization in admin or in the editor UI. I will show you that quickly. So let's switch to editor user interface improvements. So the first thing is there is a new widget which was for a long time experimental. Now it's stable. And when you're adding the paragraph, you're now using the model dialog for that. And I mentioned that groups feature, the custom feature we added. So we are using it here. All the paragraph types we have, we are grouping in the context they belong. Like content, section, title, media, layout, and reference sections. It's just a nice feature and easier to use for editors. And this is not how the default paragraph widget, model dialog looks. It's a bit more ugly, and you don't have groups. It's just one big list of all your paragraph types that you can then add here. The next improvements is, so we have paragraphs actions and improved summary. Let's start with the summary. What's that? Is this part here. So when you're building the page and you have all the paragraphs on your page, now each paragraph, like card here, has when it's collapsed, it has a tiny amount of information text. So it allows you to quickly figure it out what is what and what you need to edit or change or whatever. So that's the improved summary. The next thing is here there is a small drop-down with paragraph actions and the new actions you can do. So add above. So that would add a new paragraph above this card. You can delete it, of course, duplicate, which is a nice feature to quickly create multiple, for example, cards and just quickly change the title, image, or whatever. Convert, that's also a new feature in paragraphs that allows you to convert paragraph from one type to another. Let's say you have a hero with a title and stuff, and then you decide, no, I want actually title from this, or I wanted to convert it to card or whatever. And promote a library feature, which we'll discuss later. Yes, also in the summary, there are some additional options like if the paragraph is, in this case, container, so what does it mean? It holds multiple paragraphs inside of it. It will show you actually how many children are dead, and also if a layout is applied, it will tell you which layout is used by this container. Then, a very nice feature, which is actually drag and drop with hierarchy support, which means, I mean, you had a drag and drop before, of course. But the problem with this drag and drop is, first, if you have a huge page, then there is a lot of scrolling, and if you want to move some paragraph from bottom to top, it's difficult. And the second thing is, because now with like a container paragraph type, we have a hierarchy, and you can have containers inside of containers and so on. And pulling paragraph from like this card to this container is not possible here. But here, when you switch to the drag and drop mode, it's possible. So that's one thing. The second optimization is we really try to compress all these cards, paragraphs, so they vertically don't occupy a lot of space. So it's easier then to see in the big page what is where, and you can more easily drag and drop stuff. Next improvement is paragraphs library. So why paragraphs library? First, this is a submodule in paragraphs. Why it exists? So the problem with paragraph is when you add a paragraph to some node or page or whatever, it really stays only there. You cannot reuse it on some other place. Like, for example, you can have some complex container with lots of stuff inside, and you say, oh, that's great, but I need it on another page. Without paragraphs library, you would need to rebuild that stuff on the other page also. With paragraphs library, you can actually reuse that complex paragraph into instance in another place. And later also, if you need, you can unlink the paragraph from library instance, which actually gives you basic template support. I'll show you now in an example if it's maybe just too abstract. So how to use the paragraphs library? First, you need to enable it, allow adding to library for some paragraph type, in this case, container. Then, so this is like a quick example. I have some nice container with an image here, some title, some text, and find out more link. And I decide, okay, I want to use this on some other page. So what do I need to do? So we edit the page, and then for this container, we say promote to library. And this is actually promoting this. It's not anymore paragraph type. Actually, library is a different entity. It's not a paragraph entity, but paragraph library entity. And now, on that some other page or section or whatever, you can just inject that container from before into this page. How? So you add a paragraph. This is a reference. You say from library. And then you have a list of all items in your library. And you say just, OK, I want to add this visit to Drupal database Vienna. And now it's in your second page. Because it's actually a one paragraph instance, if you added that paragraph library, you will change it on both places or 5 places, wherever it exists. Now, sometimes you can say, OK, this stuff is, I need this stuff almost the same on this other place, but I want to change the title on that other place. In that case, you can then unlink it from library, and it allows you then to edit this paragraph now only on that page. And this gives you actually basic template support for your contents. Does this make sense? Any questions? OK. And because it's a standard, paragraph library is a standard entity in Drupal, custom entity, you can easily create the admin page with the views. So content editors can see all the paragraphs libraries, where they are used, and edit them here or edit them on some page. So that was the paragraphs library. Now we will check one of the nicest improvements in the new paragraphs. That's our so paragraphs have this plugin system for attaching behaviors to your paragraph instances on your pages. So quickly how it works. So paragraphs adds an API for behavior plugin and conversion plugin. So the conversion is that stuff when you want to convert some paragraph from one type to another. Let's say card to a hero or other way around. Behavior plugin is the stuff that is giving you an option to attach custom behaviors to your content, to your paragraph items in the content. That's the paragraphs. Now, there is a new contributed module called Paragraphs Collection, and in it, on top of behavior plugin API, it now adds implementation for grid layout. Basically, you want grid for your container, and you say it's like 3 columns or 4 columns, or it's a responsive layout with 4 columns on desktop and 2 columns on mobile, whatever. Next implementation is visibility per language, which you can say, okay, for English, I want paragraph instance to be visible, but for German, I want to hide it for whatever reason. And this kind of gives you the asymmetric support, like with cheating, but this allows you a little bit of asymmetric translation support if you really need it. Then lock editing. You can lock some paragraphs, so only the editors with the special permissions can edit, and the style plugin. This is like attaching custom, basically looks to your paragraph items. We will check all this. And now, paragraphs collection, there is a paragraphs collection demo module. It exists there only to show you all the possibilities. You can just install it. It will add a couple of demo pages with some demo content, so you can easily see how all this works. And it's also an excellent learning source to figure it out when you want, if you need a new layout or a new style, or you want to build a completely new behavior plugin for something that you need. So now we will check the layout and styles plugin. These two plugins are a bit more complex, and so you first have an admin pages for them. So reports, let's see, yeah. So reports, paragraphs collection, and you can see all your grids and all your styles on the site. Grids, nothing special, but style, actually, you need to enable the styles in order for the editors to use them on your site. Why? Because even in our default distribution, we have over I think 100 styles. And usually you don't want to ship all of that to your client because it will just make all these options will make them confused. So we just have basic styles, which we mostly use on all projects enabled, and the rest we just enable when we need. And the styles are actually grouped in groups. This is important for later because actually you're not enable any individual styles on your paragraph types. You actually enable the group. You can say, okay, for the card, where's the card? No, it's not here. But let's say for the containers, I want container styles. So I will just enable in the paragraph type, I will enable container styles, and I will get all the styles that are enabled here. So yeah, so exactly what I was talking. So how you use all this? Back to the paragraph types admin page. We are editing the container paragraph type. And this behaviors section, all the plugins that exist are listed here. And you enable the plugins you need for this specific paragraph types. In this case, background plugin is enabled. That's our custom thingy, just adding the background image to the container. And you need to say which field in the paragraph type is that background image. And then the layout and style, there it's a bit more complex, but nothing special for the grid layout. So back to that container paragraph type, it needs a paragraph field inside because it's holding multiple fields. So you need to tell the system which field is the paragraph field. You will apply this layout, and you enable the layouts you need for that container. Style. Similar story. You're just, as I said before, you enable the style groups. For example, you enable the container styles, and you need to say what is your default container. Why? Because when you're creating when the editor is creating the paragraph types on the pages, paragraph instances on the pages, usually one of the styles is default style, whatever it is for your design, and the rest then he can pick based on the use case. So how do you use them? So this is our same container, paragraph type, which has 3 cards inside. You see it here. And we say, in this case, okay, the layout is 3 columns. And the style is default in this case, which means don't add any special styling, just use it as it is. Any questions for now? Okay. Okay, now multilingual support. As I said, Paragraphs fully supports symmetric translation. What does it mean? That actually means that you build, if your English is, for example, default language, you build the whole page in English, and then you just translate the fields which are translatable in for the German, for example. That means you cannot change the layout from for the English and German. Usually you want that to stay the same, but you will just translate the text or the images if you really need. So that's configured as every other stuff in Drupal. So in the content language admin page, you enable translations for paragraphs and paragraph library. And then it's a bit of clicking, but nothing special. For all the paragraph types you want, you enable the translations and enable translations for the fields you want for that paragraph type. And that's basically it. It works great. Really that's all you need to do, and no problems there. So now we will check how you can create a custom layout, style, or some custom plugin, because really in Paragraphs collection you just get some couple of layouts and couple of styles just to show you how the stuff works. Usually you have the layouts and styles in your company already, which you try to reuse for all your projects, and you will add some custom layouts and styles depending on the project need. So how to do that? Creating a new grid layout definition is quite easy, actually. So in your team, or in this case, Paragraphs collection demo, you will have a new file, your team, Paragraphs grid layout YAML file. You specify the key for the new layout, the title description, and then you have wrapper class. That's basically the classes that will be attached to your row div element in paragraph. So for your container, if the container has paragraph items, so this is the wrapper class will be attached to container. And now you have a columns, which are basically the items in your container. So, and this says the first column, apply this class, the second column, apply this class. If you have now the third and fourth item in your paragraph, it will just go from the start again. So it will applying stuff to your paragraph items. And you obviously need to add some CSS for this stuff to work in browser. Either you will ship that in your global styles, or if you want, you can separate it in a library. And in this case, you will tell when this layout is used, load this library with the CSS and JavaScript or whatever else you have inside. Now, a bit more complex layout definition. What is nice about the behaviors for the layout and styles, you're not bound only for these standard keys. We are providing some functionality for it, like title, description, wrapper class, columns, and other stuff. So you can add custom keys, which can do whatever you need to do. So in this case, we have a custom key preview, which says, oh, use some image for this layout, and we are using that in an editor URLs to quickly show the editor how this layout will actually look when you apply it to this container. One more nice thing is you can define, this is the in paragraph collections core, you can specify display mode, which we'll use for this specific item. So you can easily override, you can say, first item is this display mode, second item is this display mode, for example, First item is a card display. Second item is more horizontal teaser display. So if you need that kind of a layout, you can easily achieve it with this. And template overrides are quite easy because we provide nice template suggestions for all this. So in this case, this is a container, and we are saying next thing. So for this item card inside of this container, we say, okay, you're a paragraph or you're a paragraph. So this primary teaser grid, that's actually a display from here. So we are applying the primary teaser grid to display, and we are attaching that information here. Or you can be more specific, like in this case, this is a paragraph type primary card. So this is a paragraph type ID. Or more specific, this is a paragraph, which is a type primary card, which is a type, which is a display primary teaser grid. So really, you can easily, if you have some custom needs for template overrides, you don't need to do anything. You just define the templates in your team, and you're done. Now styles, similar to layout, you again define a YAML. You just need 2 YAML files. While if you remember, for styles, we have style groups. It actually groups all your styles for one context together. Think about, for example, button. You have a default, actually you can have a link, a button style, default button, you can have a primary button, secondary button, and so on. So all these styles are actually a button group style, for example, can be. So how does it work? So first, again, you have in your team, or in this case, the paragraphs collection demo, you define paragraph style group YAML file, and you define all the groups here. Then you're starting to define individual styles. Here it's some paragraphs green. Title description, you say into which group it belongs. And then if you need to attach some library for additional CSS, you will do it here, or you just ship it in your global team file. And there you define all the CSS you need, or even if you need to define some JavaScript, you would define it in your library and load it also. So pretty easy. And again, you have a template suggestions for styles. You have a template key in YAML where you can say, okay, for this, these are primary style, the template suggestion is style primary, and then when you apply that style to your, in this case, primary card, paragraph type, you will get a nice template suggestion here to just implement it in your team. And finally, if you need to create something custom, some custom plugin for your needs in current project, you can also do it quite easily. So in this case, this is again from that paragraphs collection demo, so you can check all this how it works. I just compressed all the code here and just provided what's really needed. So you define a class, which is extending the paragraphs behavior base class. And there are 2 main functions you need to override: view and build behavior form. Behavior form is the things that editors will see when they are editing that paragraph type. And the view is just the rendering of that paragraph type. So in this case, we have a anchor plugin, and we say we enable that anchor plugin here for the, what is this, subtitle. So subtitle is H2 most of the time, and you just want to attach basically an ID to it, so you can have that anchor link to it. So you enable it, and then here, now from the behavior form, you have a new field, container layout, and you can type whatever you want here, and later that will be attached to the ID of that paragraph type. One thing I forgot to mention, actually, when you're editing the page with paragraphs, you have 2 modes. One is the content mode, and the other one is the behavior mode. In content mode, you're actually adding all the paragraphs, changing the content inside of it. In a behavior mode, you're defining all the behaviors you want for that paragraph types. It's just optimization to make all the forms a bit smaller and separate the stuff. So usually first you will build the stuff, the content, and then you switch to the behavior tab and you define layouts and styles or whatever else you need. Other approaches. So any questions about this? Everything's clear? Not really? Okay. Just feel free to interrupt me if you have some questions. So we will explain it better, hopefully. Now, other approaches. So what's our other approaches? So there is one nice country module called layout paragraphs. It's kind of combining the layout builder from the core with paragraphs, which is nice. So you get all that layer builder user interface optimizations, drag and drop, kind of what you see, what you get stuff. But it only really solves the layout part. All other things we discuss it, like styles or other custom plugins, like lockability or visibility per language, or the custom plugins you develop, they are not supported. Then there is a core layout builder. Major problem with it is still it has a problem with multilingual sites. It's not easy to configure it for that case. And again, it's really all, again, solving just the layout part. Other things like styles and other stuff, there is no standard API to do that stuff in Layout Builder for now. Then there is this approach that Gutenberg is doing and similar stuff, which is like, it's very different. You just say, okay, I don't care about all the stuff, the fields, the field composition paragraphs. I just want a body field, and I will do all my stuff in the CQ editor or Gutenberg editor. That's completely different from all we discussed here. And the single field storage is very limited solution. It will work for very small websites, but as soon as you go bigger and you need translations, revisions, and other support, this will fail. So really, currently the paragraphs is the only solution that offers you everything, plus no problems with the translations and other stuff. Now, what can we improve? Of course, a lot of stuff. If you need async translation, there is a patch for that. That's quite long but active, so you can check that. But really, we never really used that. We didn't need it for now. Sometimes when you install the site and you start building the content, and then you figure out you want to change the default translations for multilingual sites, some stuff can break. It's a work in progress, so be aware of that. Then if you have really long pages with a lot of paragraphs, the UI just becomes slow because it's constantly doing all the IJAX stuff in the end, rebuilding the form, returning it to your browsers. So stuff becomes a bit slower. Grid layout groups, what does it mean? And modifiers, yeah. So the layouts are solved. The problem is, okay, you can have a 2 columns layout, but most of the time you will say, okay, now I don't need a grid gutter, or I need a bigger grid gutter. Currently, you would need to, for each that variation, you need to specify a new layout completely, which is a waste of time. We are trying to do something there, but it's very first steps to improve that. So yes, then paragraphs collection. All this nice stuff we discussed. Most of the people don't know about it or is not using it, so we will need to figure it out how to make all this more visible, document it better, so more people will use it. Maybe provide the basic paragraph types and basic layout and styles for your project, so you don't need to build the stuff for yourself. So there is something you can use out of the box, maybe. Conversion plugin I mentioned. We are using it for years now. It works great, but it's still in the patch state. Most likely because we don't have actually the paragraph types in paragraphs collection. So it's difficult to to finish it for now. But it's there and ready to be used. Works great. I discussed the model improvements we did, so it would be nice to ship that to actually to Paragraph's default new standard widget. Blocks and views support, so you have the block field country module, so you can easily add a field in your paragraph to reference some blocks and then views blocks. The problem starts when you have your view, but then you can say, okay, this display mode, but I want to change the pager or whatever for that view display. You need to create a new view display in your view, and that's just a lot of hassle. So what we did is like you can override all these views attributes per paragraph instance, which saves a lot of time. That also would be nice to maybe be shipped into paragraphs collection or a new country model for this. So yeah, some other limitations. It's not what you see, what you get, like Gutenberg or other stuff, which is bad and good, depending who you ask. I mentioned already that it can be slow for big pages. And yeah, actually, how to improve this slowness and other stuff. It would be nice to provide a new widget, which is actually a decoupled paragraphs editor, but that's a lot of work. We need to figure it out first how they will do the stuff in Drupal core, and then try to reuse that for our paragraphs thing. So yeah, we can obviously, a lot of stuff is already possible, but more stuff can be done. So if you want to help or whatever, just get in touch with us. And some resources for this presentation. So the paragraphs main module, the paragraphs collection, the new module I mentioned. Yeah, and yeah, that's it. Now, questions.
All right, thank you. And my question is about who are the actual people who are using these new paragraph interfaces. Are these people more like site builders or the actual content editors when, you know, those, I think there are some nodes which are composed of those paragraphs. So are they building the landing pages themselves or not?
Yeah, that's the idea actually, that we just provide them all the tools plus the customizations for their custom design, and they do all the rest. So they build the front page, all that fancy stuff, the hero header and other stuff, and the layout and everything else they build by themselves. We just train them how to use it, and because everything is standardized, we have a nice documentation. And actually, it's online. I don't have a link here. I can send you later if you want. So everything is documented, our custom distribution, but everything is actually the paragraphs and paragraphs collection behind. So we just reuse it for all the clients. So we do it once, and then that's it.
Yeah, Italo Mairo. I'm one of the first layout paragraph contributor, contributed to branch 1, and the aim of layout paragraph was to, merge, integrate paragraphs with the layout API, Drupal layout API, and it's doing pretty well. Actually, it's been developed by Aten Group. They also went forward with the Mercury editor that is also integrating coding style, all this stuff. But I'm pretty impressed by what you showed the case on layout in paragraphs. So the question is, one of the questions is this being integrated depending also from layout API, or is it just an internal layouting system?
It's that, so paragraphs has a new behavior API.
Okay.
And one of the implementation of that behaviors is a layout plugin.
Okay, that is independent from the layout API. And how is this documented? Because I was looking into it's still
That's
kind of
question,
hidden
yeah.
one.
It's not very good documented.
Okay.
So one of my goal after, so this is my second presentation about this, much better than the first one. And all the structure, and I think is in place. So my next goal is actually to start doing documentation for all this and try to promote all of this better to all of you.
Thanks.
More questions?
Hello, and thank you for the presentation. I would like to ask regarding the paragraphs library submodule. There was a used in column over there in the used in where? Used in the parent
pages.
Paragraph or in the ultimate content?
Pages, I think. Yeah. Because there is a country model, I forgot which one, which is
entity usage.
Which is tracking all that references and counting them.
And what it used, or you use that one?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
So there's nothing built in directly into the paragraphs?
We're using that other country module, yeah.
Okay, so understood.
Because paragraph is just entity reference.
No, you have that in files, for example, used in, but there's external modules who do that. But when I saw that used in column, I thought, okay, it's something I am missing, and it's in paragraphs. Okay, thank you.
Somebody else? If not, actually, I have a question for you. So, short one, because we are out of time. So, everybody knows about paragraphs, right? And huge amount of sites is using paragraphs based on the stats from Drupal.org. This is the paragraphs collection. Basically, beside us and some other people, probably nobody is using it or doesn't know about all this stuff. So my question actually for you after this presentation is how we can improve this number. What do you think? What would help? Like better documentation, and we try to invest more time in promotion, better out-of-the-box paragraph type slide styles, something else? What do you think? One. Everybody for one, right? All right, cool, great. Feedback, so that's the next thing to work on. That's it. If there is no other questions, we can close it. Thank you a lot for coming here.